Chapter 1 Plant Fruits. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the shimmering sea, an island bustles with activity at a major crossroads of trade and travel. The streets are packed with people coming and going. Rogge town sits at the gateway to the Grand Line, making it a mandatory stop for pirates heading that way. The town teems with people, and shops overflow with goods from all corners of the world. Pirates are frequent visitors, but only the best manage to avoid capture by the station navy. In a quiet corner of town, lies the courtyard of an orphanage. "Hey, Roger. Get a move on, we're going shopping," an old man with a white beard called out. "Coming." A muscular young man with brown hair, maybe 18 or 19, hurried over and hopped onto the carriage. He sat in the back of the rickety carriage as the old man took the reins, urging the horse forward toward town. The dilapidated carriage rattled along. Rogge town buzzed with activity. Merchants lined the streets, hawking their wares, but everyone turned their noses up at the sight of the old carriage. Roger, riding in the back, gazed around, lost in thought. "It's been a year since I came to this world, and I'm still figuring things out." That's right, Roger was a time traveler, reborn into this world. In his previous life, he blacked out after a car accident. He woke up in an orphanage on this island. After merging his old memories with those of his new body, he realized he was in the world of One Piece. The initial excitement soon faded when he realized how dire his situation was. His new name was Roger, like the town where he'd been abandoned as a baby. To make matters worse, he hadn't gained any special powers or advantages in his new life. Unlike the characters in the anime and novels he'd read before, he had no golden finger to help him. This One Piece world was full of possibilities, but he was just an ordinary guy. The thought annoyed him. Come on, give me a break. If I'm going to be reborn, why not as someone cool, like Nanami Kento? Or even a Navy admiral? Hell, why not be reborn as Straw Hat Luffy? But complaining wouldn't change anything. At least he had food to eat. Roger was now considered an orphanage employee, responsible for buying supplies. Finally, the old carriage pulled up to a discount store in Rogge town. The white-bearded driver and Roger climbed down. "Remember, Roger, we need to stock up on the cheap stuff. I've got 5,000 belly to buy enough food, vegetables, and milk. The kids need to grow," the old man said. "Got it," Roger replied. The white-bearded man was named John, the director of the orphanage. Of course, he wasn't that Whitebeard, one of the 4 emperors. He was just the director of the Rogge town orphanage. Still, he always bragged that he and Whitebeard were distant relatives. Everyone in town saw it as a joke, something to gossip about later. Inside the store, John finally struck a deal with the owner after some shrewd bargaining. "Okay, load it all onto the carriage," John said, pointing to a pile of goods. There were about 10 sacks of flour, several crates of fruits and vegetables, and some milk. "All right." Roger started hauling the supplies. It was easy enough normally, but with this much stuff, it was hard work. Panting, Roger finally climbed back onto the carriage. John took the reins, and they headed back to the orphanage. They stopped in front of the aging building. "Okay, Roger, I need to redo the books. You take care of unloading," John said before heading inside. Roger started sorting the grain, vegetables, fruit, and milk. "I've been doing this for a year, but it can't go on like this forever. I need to find a way out," Roger muttered to himself. In this world of pirates and powerful people, some manage to become strong through sheer willpower, but that's rare. Those people are 1 in a million, and they also need a lot of luck. Roger decided to stick it out at the orphanage for another 2 years, then try to join the Navy or become a pirate. Either way, it'd be tough. Climbing to the top wouldn't be easy. Huh. Why is this box so light? Did the owner cheat me and short the order? Roger noticed that one of the wooden crates of fruit and vegetables felt unusually light. It seemed like there was only 1 piece of fruit inside. "What's going on?" Roger opened the crate and stared in shock. Inside was a purple fruit with swirling patterns, a devil fruit. He was sure of it. After being reborn, he'd memorized devil fruit illustrations. The one in front of him was definitely the real deal. Roger took the purple fruit with trembling hands and examined it closely. "Oh my God, I guess luck is on my side after all." He glanced around to make sure he was alone. Then, he grabbed the fruit and hurried to a secluded part of the woods behind the orphanage. Now that I've got a devil fruit, I need to eat it ASAP. Roger started peeling the purple skin. Devil fruits were rare treasures. Once you got one, it didn't matter what its power was. You just had to eat it. The only downside was that you'd become a dead weight in the ocean. Holding his breath, Roger gulped down the fruit's flesh. The taste was something he didn't even want to think about. After a while, the devil fruit was gone, even the outer skin. Roger even swallowed the outer skin for good measure. Phew, finally finished it. Ugh. After eating the fruit, he felt a wave of nausea. This devil fruit was truly disgusting. Sweet, sour, spicy, salty, none of those words even came close. One word, vile. The taste was awful, but he wasn't about to throw it up now. Roger did his best to forget the taste and waited for his stomach to settle before standing up and walking around. I need to figure out its power. After eating a devil fruit, the ability doesn't just appear in your mind. But he had a strange feeling in his subconscious, probably his devil fruit power. He would need to experiment to understand it. After staying in the small forest for a while, Roger gradually grasped his new power. He reached out his hand to the grass around him. As he concentrated, the weeds began to grow noticeably faster. The same thing happened to the other plants, like the flowers and shrubs. So it affects plants. This is a plant-type devil fruit. Roger hadn't expected this was a plant fruit. People with this ability can control plant growth and change plants. Well, at least it's not a useless ability. A plant fruit. I'll need to put it to good use. Now Roger finally had the chance to make a name for himself. Still, he would have to work hard on his own. When he felt better, he looked up at the sky. The sun was already setting. I still need to think carefully about the future, and then go back. Roger went back to the orphanage, finished his chores, and returned to his room. Chapter 2, My Own Path and the Great Days of Rogue Town. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In bed, Roger replayed his life in his head. Should I join the Navy? He kept mulling it over. The Navy was powerful, maybe the most powerful force out there, known for its discipline and sharp intelligence, but even devil fruit users don't always climb the ranks. Plenty of them are in the Navy, but only a few reach the top. In the Navy, you still have to play the game, watch your back. Being a pirate means taking huge risks. And the world government's cracking down hard. Plus, I'm not about robbing innocent people. I don't want to be that kind of lowlife. Maybe I could use my powers to become a businessman. Do some botanical research, strike it rich. Lost in thought, his eyes landed on the calendar. June, 1522. That it was the year 1522, the year Luffy set sail into the Grand Line. If his past life memories from One Piece were correct, Luffy? The Grand Line. A thought sparked in Roger's mind. If anyone could shake up the world and do it fast, it was the Straw Hat Pirates. Maybe I should hang with the Straw Hats, Roger decided, feeling a surge of confidence. Soon, he was snoring, lost in dreams. Time flew by. It was September 9, 1522, in Rogetown's Execution Square. A massive platform stood before the Sema building. This was where the Pirate King Roger had been executed. Countless people had visited over the years, pirates especially, wanting to see the place where Roger met his end. In a nearby coffee shop, locals were chatting about recent news. Did you hear? Admiral Krieg got taken down, said a man in a hat. Yeah, and a few days ago, Arlong and his crew got beat, too. Some kid named Luffy did it, replied a man in a coat. That Luffy has a 30 million berry bounty at his age. Unbelievable, the man in the hat exclaimed. What if they show up here? Asked the man in the coat. Don't worry, Smokey's got this town locked down. No pirates get through Rogue Town. It's the only way into the Grand Line, and the Navy's watching close, the man in the hat assured him. At a nearby table, a brown-haired boy held a coffee cup, studying a wanted poster. It showed Luffy in his straw hat, grinning ear to ear, with a 30 million berry bounty below. Almost time. They should be here any day now. Roger set down his cup, staring at Luffy's picture. The guy who'd turned the world on its head was finally here, along with his crew of misfits. Ever since hearing about Arlong's defeat, Roger had been coming to Execution Square often. Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, Nami, Usopp, what'll your faces look like when I see you? Roger ordered another coffee. That day, a small pirate ship sailed into Rogue Town. A group of young men and women stepped onto the shore. The boy in the straw hat stretched his arms and looked around excitedly. Whoa, what a town! This is where the pirate era started. Monkey D. Luffy was taking it all in. I'm gonna get some food and check out the ladies, Sanji, the blonde heartthrob with a cigarette, said. I'm gonna stock up on gear, Usopp chimed in. Zoro, the swordsman, said, I need to buy something too. Nami, ever practical, smiled at Zoro and said, sure, I'll lend you the money. But triple interest. Luffy, bouncing with energy, declared, I wanna see the execution platform. The straw hats scattered, each pursuing their own goals. That same day, 2 other pirate groups arrived on the same ship. They too entered Rogue Town, searching for a common enemy. Didn't think it would be so lively here. A beautiful woman in a pink robe strolled through the streets, followed by cloaked figures. Hey, Alvida, we're not here to sightsee, a man with a red nose complained. Alvida glared at him. Captain Buggy, I know what we're here for. As long as you remember, I'm gonna chop that straw hat brat's head off, Buggy growled. A man riding a lion grumbled, Captain Buggy, why are we hiding our faces? It's uncomfortable. Me riding a lion kinda gives us away, don't you think? Buggy snapped, lots of people ride lions, but there's only one Captain Buggy. Now get down, it's my turn. Buggy and Alvida were uniting to crush their common foe, Straw Hat Luffy. At the Rogue Town police station, a Navy communications officer raced down the hall. He nearly tripped as he burst into the office. Enter, a calm voice called from inside. The officer opened the door to a room thick with cigar smoke. In the haze, a pair of intense eyes stared at the officer. As the door opened, the smoke cleared slightly, revealing a muscular man sitting on the sofa, juggling a stack of stones while puffing on 2 cigars. His presence was intimidating. Colonel Smoker, urgent news, the officer said, saluting. Smoker remained silent, his eyes demanding a quick report. Headquarters just received an urgent call. The Straw Hat Pirates, led by Monkey D. Luffy, are headed for Rogue Town. They defeated Admiral Krieg and Arlong. Luffy's bounty is now 30 million berries, the highest in the East Blue. The officer rattled off the information. Calm down. Getting worked up over one thing. Who's got a 30 million berry bounty? Smoker's deep voice asked. Monkey D. Luffy, the Straw Hat Pirates. 30 million berries, the officer repeated. 30 million. That's a lot. Smoker dropped the stones he was juggling. He stood, walked to the window, and threw it open, clearing the smoke. Anything else? Smoker asked, turning to dress. Even under his clothes, his bulk was obvious. Intelligence suggests they'll arrive today, the officer replied. All right, I got it. Remember, my men need to be calm. No panicking, Smoker said, his gaze piercing. Yes, sir, the officer replied. Footsteps approached, and a Navy sergeant entered, saluting. Sir, we have an emergency. 2 pirate ships have docked. Smoker frowned. 2 ships. Yes, sir. One is suspected to be the Straw Hat Pirates, and the other, the Buggy Pirates, the sergeant reported. Smoker grabbed his weapon, a jit tipped with sea stone. Here we go. 30 million berries. Might be fun to take him down. And Buggy's here too. Today's gonna be interesting. Smoker strapped the jit to his back and headed out. Chapter 3: The Troubles in Execution Platform Square. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Roger, hanging out at a cafe next to Justice Square, left and headed for a nearby house practically spitting distance from the square. Reaching the house, he rolled up his sleeves, revealing a thick, thumb-sized vine hidden there. Time to use my devil fruit powers. Check out this vine whip. Focusing his will, Rogge aimed the vines at the roof. The short vines shot out, one growing rapidly like a grappling hook, snagging securely on the roof's edge. He controlled the vine, using it to pull himself up, just like a grappling hook. Thanks to the vine, Roger easily reached the rooftop. Good to have this ability. Not a bad view either. The house was about 8 stories high, offering a pretty good panorama, plus, it was conveniently close to the execution platform in Justice Square. That kid Luffy, with his insane curiosity, would definitely show up here again. Probably in the next few days, Rogge figured he'd scope things out. He also had to deal with that red-nosed Bucky, Rita, and even that smoke-puffing Colonel Smoker, the Marine commander guarding Rogge Town. If he was going to take on Luffy, waiting here was the smart move. This would be his first real combat since gaining his devil fruit power. He'd tangled with some local Rogge Town thugs, picking up a little experience along the way, but facing Captain Bucky, powerful pirates like Rita, and Colonel Smoker and the Navy was a whole different ballgame. Rogge had combined his plant-based devil fruit powers with his own research into combat techniques that utilized various plants. His favorite was the vine whip. The vines hidden in his sleeves were modified by his fruit ability, able to grow and shrink at will. Beyond climbing, they had plenty of other uses. He touched the several modified plants he carried. Each had unique abilities. Looking up, the sky above Rogge Town was still clear. But a dark cloud was rolling in from the west. Meanwhile, Luffy and his crew, already inside Rogge Town, were doing their own thing. Nami was hunting for cheap, high-quality clothes, Sanji bought a ridiculously huge elephant-nosed fish, Usopp purchased essential gear for a brave warrior of the sea, and Roronoa Zoro was on the lookout for the perfect blade. After stuffing his face at a restaurant and asking for directions, Luffy finally arrived at Justice Square. He was there to see the place where the former pirate king, Roger, had been executed. In Justice Square, the execution platform towered in front of the Justice Building. Luffy, wearing his trademark straw hat, couldn't wait, and he rushed over. Reaching the platform, Luffy looked up and said, "Wow, be pretty cool to stand up there and see the view." Using his rubber powers, Luffy stretched his arms toward the top, grabbed it, and hauled himself up. Standing atop the tall execution platform, Luffy held down his straw hat and surveyed the scenery. Whoa, this is what the Pirate King saw before they offed him. Just as Luffy was standing there, Rogge spotted him from the rooftop. It really is him, Luffy. Seeing Luffy with his own eyes got Rogge pumped. Even though he was a little far from the platform, he could see Luffy clearly. It confirmed that today was the day. The looming crisis was upon them. "Looks like we're going to have to deal with Captain Bucky and Rita," Rogge said. He pulled a sunflower from his clothes. It looked like any other sunflower, but it could unleash devastating attacks. Putting the sunflower on his shoulder, Roger kept a close eye on the square. Below, several pirates noticed Luffy on the platform. "Report to Captain Bucky, quick." The square was packed. It was the site of the Pirate King's execution, so visitors to Rogge Town always stopped there. Soon, the police maintaining order spotted Luffy and moved to stop him. "Hey! Get down from there. I'm the officer in charge. That's a special execution platform managed by the world government. You can't stand there," an officer shouted through a megaphone. "Don't be so uptight, officer. The view's great," Luffy said casually. "Arrest him." Suddenly, a huge mace flew in from the side, smashing the officer in the face. He went down hard, blood and flesh everywhere. "Officer, please step aside." A tall woman, wielding a mace and wearing a white sun hat, stepped in front of the platform. Looking up at Luffy, she asked in a smooth, calm voice, "You haven't forgotten me, have you, Luffy?" Luffy looked at her strangely. She had black hair, seductive red lips, an air of elegance, and incredibly smooth skin. Words couldn't describe her beauty. The people around her were floored. "Wow, she's gorgeous. Absolutely stunning." But Luffy was clueless. He stared at her for a long time before saying, "Don't think I know you." She continued smoothly, "I'll never forget you, because you were the first man to hit my beautiful face." "I hit you?" "Don't remember," Luffy frowned. "When you punched me, my heart skipped a beat." The crowd in the square almost got nosebleeds as she stroked her face and belly. "Let me ask you, who is the most beautiful person in this sea?" she asked. "You." The crowd roared back. That's right, it's me. There's not a man alive who can resist my charm. And I like strong men, so Luffy, I want you to be my man. Her eyes could steal your soul. A group of police officers arrived quickly and surrounded the area. Woman, we're arresting you for interfering with official business. And the guy on the execution platform. She gave them a heart-stopping look. She's beautiful. Officer, she's so. Yeah, she's beautiful. So what? Arrest her. Suddenly, a huge explosion rocked the fountain in Justice Square. Oh my God, a terrorist attack. Stones flew everywhere, some heading right for the woman. The fountain's top is heading right for her. She's gonna get hit. Danger, that everyone tensed up, but the woman remained calm. The moment the top of the fountain touched her, it slid off to the side, smashing into a nearby building and leaving a gaping hole. Then, with a burst of manic laughter, a group of cloaked figures arrived. You really shouldn't be doing this. It's too dangerous, the woman said to one of them. Heh, you're not scared, are you? With that smooth skin, you're probably unscathed, a sinister voice replied. Isn't that right, beautiful Rita? Rita? Where's Rita? Luffy looked around the platform, but couldn't see her. I'm Rita. She shouted from below the platform. Luffy looked down at Alita. The fat old woman he remembered was gone, replaced by a tall beauty with delicate skin, but the huge mace in her hand was a dead giveaway. Yeah, it's you. But you definitely look different. Rita, all smiles, said, I got this way after eating a devil fruit. It's called the smooth fruit. It made my skin like this. No attack can hurt me. It's a shame it didn't change everything about me, but the freckles are definitely gone. I joined forces with this group to find you. A group of cloaked figures appeared beside Rita. With a burst of evil, clown-like laughter, they threw off their cloaks. It was Captain Bucky the Clown and his circus-themed pirate crew. Bucky glared at Luffy, pride and hatred burning in his eyes. Monkey D. Luffy. Since the day you humiliated me, I've been plotting revenge. I didn't give up, even when I lost my arms, legs, and torso. I made it back to my beloved pirate crew. After an incredible adventure, Bucky returns as king. Luffy raised his chin, thought for a moment, and said, lame. Thought it was someone important. Turns out it's just Baji. It's Bucky. You're gonna die anyway. Bucky yelled. The Bucky pirates revealed themselves, and the crowd panicked. It's Bucky. Bucky the pirate. People scattered in fear. Citizens, don't panic. Stay calm. Today, you're going to witness true terror. The Buggy pirates started firing their guns in the air to scare the crowd. Suddenly, Luffy was slammed down by a wooden shackle falling from the sky. Ouch! Luffy looked up and saw a tall, thin man with half his face covered sitting on the shackles. Good job, Kabaji. Bucky said, grinning. Sitting on the shackles was acrobatic Kabaji, the Buggy pirates' chief of staff. Long time no see, Rubber Man. How's Roronoa Zoro doing? Kabaji asked. Bucky said to Luffy, I'm going to execute you in public. It's an honor to die in the same place as the Pirate King. Rogge saw this. It was time. Bucky was standing on the execution platform, lost in his own world. He wanted to savor the moment before killing him, but Bucky, his crew, and Rita were a threat. Going in headfirst was too risky. Rogge was waiting for the perfect opportunity. Meanwhile, Navy Captain Smoker and his team heard about the situation and were rushing to Justice Square. The other Straw Hat pirates finished their shopping and wanted to meet up with Luffy. Bucky, lost in his narcissism, was lost in his own world. He was the most successful pirate in the world. Rogge aimed the sunflower at the platform. Bucky drew his machete, ready to begin the execution. The sinner, Monkey D. Luffy, committed the crime of insulting me. I sentence you to death. Bucky shouted. The pirate crew cheered. First time I've seen an execution, Luffy said. Idiot, you're the one getting executed. Bucky shouted. Huh. Luffy said, surprised, Rogge's sunflower was pointed at Bucky. The flower began to generate heat. "Bucky! Taste this, sunshine and fire," that the sunflower shot a straight flame, hitting Bucky. "Aya!" Bucky was hit and sent rolling off the platform. The buggy pirates and Rita were stunned. Bucky was burned black. "Captain Bucky! Who did that?" Kabaji quickly spotted Rogge on the rooftop. "Someone's causing trouble." "I'll handle it," Kabaji said. "Need help?" Rita asked. "Bucky's our captain. We'll get revenge ourselves," Kabaji said. Kabaji conjured his unicycle and a knife. The acrobat stepped onto the unicycle and rushed toward the building where Rogge was. Chapter 4: Rogge vs. Kabaji. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Rogge, up on the roof, realized he was exposed. "Looks like I got a fight, but Luffy's still tied up. Need another sunfire blast." The sunflower on Rogge's shoulder heated up again. He aimed it at the execution platform, this time needing only a small burst to burn through Luffy's wooden shackles. Sunfire, that the sunflower unleashed another scorching blast. This time, the wooden restraints on Luffy's body went up in flames. "All right. Got him." Rogge was stoked, but then a screeching sound pierced the air. A dude on a unicycle came flying off the building wall, machete in hand, heading straight for the roof. The guy was surprisingly agile, landing the wheel perfectly in front of Rogge. It was Kabaji, sizing Rogge up, a young guy with brown hair and a solid build. "Hey, you punk! How dare you attack Captain Bucky?" Kabaji pointed his machete at Rogge. Rogge stared back at Kabaji, Bucky's chief of staff, a swordsman with long hair covering half his face. That sunflower needs time to recharge after 2 shots. Gonna need some other plant power to handle this, star. Yup, that was me. Figured Captain Bucky needed a little attitude adjustment, Rogge said. "Oh, you think you're funny? I'll avenge Captain Bucky and spill your blood to soothe his anger." Kabaji snarled. The vine whip hidden up Rogge's sleeve was ready for action. Meanwhile, atop the execution platform. Cough, cough, cough. What the heck was that fire? Came out of nowhere. I'm toasted, but at least these shackles are gone. Luffy brushed off the ash and stood up. Below, Bucky was totally charred. His crew was scrambling to help him out. "Captain Bucky, hang in there. You're our leader, Captain Bucky. Without you, the pirates are doomed. You fought so hard to get back, Captain Bucky. We can't lose you again." That the buggy pirates were a mess of tears and snot. Luffy, now free, spotted Bucky below. "Hey, big nose. Stop faking it." Bucky, who had been lying motionless, instantly jumped to his feet, furious. "Who are you calling big nose?" Bucky bellowed. The pirates around him erupted in joyous cries, their tears even more dramatic as they piled on Bucky in a hug. "Captain Bucky, we knew you wouldn't die." Bucky shoved them off. "Get off me," that he snapped. "Who attacked just now? Was it Straw Hat?" "Not sure yet, but Kabaji went to take care of it," a pirate replied. "Good. When Kabaji catches him, I'll cut him to ribbons." Bucky growled. Then Bucky's eyes locked on Luffy on the execution platform. "Straw Hat, since you got backup, I'll take you on fair and square." "All right. I already kicked your butt once, and I'll do it again." Luffy cracked his knuckles. Bucky snatched a machete from each of the pirates beside him. His hand immediately detached from his arm and hovered in the air. Split into 2 pieces. Luffy pulled his arm back, ready to launch. Gum Gum Rocket. Meanwhile, Kabaji and Rogge were going at it hammer and tongs. On the roof, Kabaji swung his machete, aiming for Rogge's throat. Rogge shot a vine whip from his sleeve. The vine shot out, lashing towards Kabaji's arm. Kabaji slashed at the vine, but it was too elastic to cut. "What?" Rogge's vine wrapped tightly around Kabaji's weapon hand. Rogge yanked hard, nearly knocking Kabaji off his unicycle, but Kabaji was a master acrobat. He bailed off the unicycle and stuck the landing. the vine was still wrapped tight around Kabaji's arm. Rogge shot another vine from his other sleeve, this time ensnaring Kabaji's entire body. Okay, you got skills, kid. No wonder you dared to attack Captain Bucky. The uncovered half of Kabaji's face wore a sly expression. So, why did you attack Captain Bucky? Are you with Straw Hat and his crew? Kabaji asked. Not yet, Rogge said. Suddenly, Kabaji slipped out of the vine's grip, his arms and body were free. Don't think that little trick can hold me. I'm a world-class acrobat. Kabaji boasted. Kabaji waved his arm and launched over 20 sharp darts. Acrobatic darts, these weren't just darts, the needle-like points were as long as daggers. Rogge quickly retracted and reconfigured the vine whips. Vine whip defense net, the vine quickly wove into a net, the darts slammed into the net, which trembled but held. The vines then snapped back to their original shape, flinging off the darts. Ha! Those vines are pretty cool. Even my best acrobatics can't do that, Kabaji said with a sinister smile. It's the power of the vine whip fruit. It's naturally strong, Rogge explained. Kabaji paused. So you're a devil fruit user too, just like Straw Hat. Fine, but I'll show you my true power. Kabaji hopped back on his unicycle and pedaled furiously. He circled Rogge, moving faster and faster. Soon, multiple blurred images of Kabaji appeared, surrounding him. Ha! Guess which one is the real me? Kabaji taunted. Suddenly, Rogge felt a sharp pain in his back. He reached back and pulled out a dart. The point was long, and it hurt like hell. Now, it's going to hurt even more. A machete flashed out from the surrounding images, the blade plunged towards Rogge's chest. This time, Rogge's vine whip reacted instantly, forming a net right in front of his chest, stopping the blow. Cut the games. The vine whips in Rogge's hands lashed out in a wide arc. Kabaji retreated, the illusions vanishing. Rogge glared at Kabaji. I'm done messing around. He flung the vine whip. Kabaji used his acrobatic skills to dodge. He jumped off the roof and back into the square. Rogge gave chase. He anchored the vine on the roof and swung down. Rogge and Kabaji started brawling in Justice Square. Meanwhile, Luffy and Bucky were locked in combat. Rita watched from the sidelines, wanting to see who would win between Luffy and Bucky. Come on, Luffy. Don't disappoint me. Rita called out. You're cheering for him. Bucky snarled. Rita said, I've fallen for him, so of course. Huh. Rita noticed Kabaji fighting a young man with vines. Is that the one who attacked? Rita mused, looking at Rogge. Rogge and Kabaji were still fighting. Kabaji was agile, even so, he struggled to avoid the vine whip. Finally, he was defeated, his body wrapped up. Don't worry, I won't let you escape this time, Rogge said, gripping the vines tight. Rogge looked at the sunflower on his shoulder, now fully charged. Fire sunflower, sunfire. A beam of flame shot from the sunflower, hitting Kabaji. Ack! Kabaji screamed as the sunfire scorched him, sending him rolling across the ground. Rita was taken aback by Rogge's attack. She wasn't afraid of a brawl, but couldn't avoid a direct hit. Luffy and Bucky, still fighting, stumbled and fell on Kabaji's body. Damn it! Huh? Isn't this Kabaji? Bucky said, noticing Kabaji pinned underneath him. Bucky's gaze snapped to Rogge. Ah, so it's you. You're the one who attacked me. Bucky roared, face contorted. Oh. It's you, Luffy said, also looking at Rogge. The simple-minded boy with the wide eyes sized Rogge up and down. I see. So you're the one who saved me from the execution platform. Thanks a lot. Luffy said to Rogge. No problem, Rogge replied. But that attack was hot. Almost fried me, but it's cool, Luffy added. Bucky stood up, glaring at Rogge and Luffy. I'm going to kill both of you. Bucky roared. Bucky glanced at Rita. Help me out. I'll take Straw Hat. You kill that punk. Rita gazed at Rogge. I favor Luffy. I can't work for others. Rogge watched as the beautiful woman walked toward him. You're a handsome young man with a strong body. But I already like someone. I won't kill you, but after I win, you'll be my servant. Rita purred. Thanks, but no thanks, Rogge declined. Rita continued to give Rogge a flirty look, her beauty breathtaking. Another man who needs training. I'll teach you. Though her words were offensive, her tone was irresistible. A few people watching the fight already got a nosebleed. All right, I accept, Rogge said. Chapter 5 Rogge vs. Rita. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Rogge stared at Rita. She also had fruit abilities, and even with a single attack, her defense was unbelievably strong, Rita said with a smirk, still feeling graceful. I'll make the first move then. Rita dashed towards Rogge. Rogge quickly retreated, using his vine whip to snag the base of the execution platform and pull himself away. Squirting red cum, Rita said before kicking off her shoes and gliding across the ground at top speed in her bare feet. Realizing he couldn't dodge, Rogge aimed his vine whip at the top of the execution platform, firing it like a grappling hook and pulling himself to the summit. Standing firmly, Rogge looked around. This was the view the Pirate King had before his death. Looks like I'm one of the few to see this scenery, besides Roger, Luffy, Buggy, and Kabaji. Think you can avoid me up there? Rita swung her massive mace, slamming it into the bottom of the execution platform. The violent attack shook the entire structure. Even the steel supports struggled to withstand it. Rita kept pounding the joints of the steel frame supporting the platform. It wouldn't be long before it collapsed. I won't let you beat me. Rogge shouted, aiming his vine whip at a nearby judicial building, launching the vines, and swinging over. Almost as soon as he was clear, the execution platform crashed to the side. The historical landmark that witnessed the Pirate King's execution was destroyed, but a new, even grander era was dawning. Rogge, standing on top of the judicial building, faced Rita, his vine whip pointed at her. Vine whip restraint. He hurled the whip, but it slipped right off her. Rita looked at Rogge and sneered, men, so useless. She hurled her mace at Rogge, smashing the spot he'd been standing on. Squirting red jet slide straight. Rogge was surprised to see Rita sliding vertically up the wall to the top of the building. Grinning, Rita hefted her mace and said, think I can't slide vertically? No, someone with fruit abilities has to have more than just that, Rogge replied. Rita looked at Rogge charmingly and then paused before asking, what's the deal with your ability anyway? You're so good with those vines. The truth is, madam, I also have abilities. I created these with them, Rogge said. Well, no wonder. I knew you had more to you. Show me what else you can do, Rita challenged. That's what I was hoping for, Rogge replied. Rogge pulled a branch as thick as a pigeon's egg from his clothes. It looked fresh. He had also modified it using his plant fruit ability. Ironwood sword. The branch grew rapidly, turning into a rough, heavy sword half the size of a man. Though it looked crude, the wooden sword had the basic edge of an épée. Seeing the ironwood sword, Rita nodded, impressive. You've got a strong ability. Manipulating plants, it seems. Thanks for the compliment, but we still have to fight, Rogge said. Rogge swung the ironwood sword, clashing fiercely with Rita's mace. The mace hit the ironwood sword, but the wood was incredibly hard and didn't break. Well, this wood is tough. Looks rough, but it's a good weapon, Rita conceded. Rogge swung the heavy ironwood sword, struggling with its weight. Alita, however, wielded her massive mace with ease, swinging it like a toy. Rita was an experienced fighter, and Rogge was soon on the defensive. He glanced at the flaming sunflower on his shoulder. Sunflower sun flame. The sunflower aimed at Rita and fired a powerful, straight blast of flames. The flames were as fast as bullets, but Rita dodged them. She shielded herself with her hands, and waves of heat radiated from her. Ugh, feels like being in a steam room for days, Rita gasped. The slippery fruit allowed her to avoid the direct hit, but she still felt the high heat. Still, the fruit's ability to deflect and dodge attacks meant she wasn't burned like most people would have been. Still not much use, Rogge said. Your attack is strong, though. The heat alone caused some damage, Rita admitted. Rogge looked at Rita, thinking that only light could stop her from hiding. The sky above Rogge town was covered in dark clouds, and a storm was coming. Glancing at the sky, Rogge thought he might be able to use thunder and lightning. While Rogge and Rita fought, Luffy and Buggy were also locked in battle. The rest of the Straw Hat Pirates, Zoro and Nami, arrived at the Justice Square where the execution platform had been. Luffy wanted to see the execution platform, Nami said. Where is that kid anyway? So many people, Zoro replied, looking around the square. Sanji and Usopp arrived carrying a massive elephant-nosed fish. I don't know where Luffy went. I want to quickly prepare this delicious fish for Miss Nami, Sanji said. Captain Luffy is missing. Looks like Captain Usopp will have to take charge, Usopp declared. Zoro noticed the commotion in the square and said, looks like a fight. And Luffy seems to be fighting someone he knows. Isn't that Buggy? Nami asked, squinting. Who's Buggy? Usopp and Sanji asked in unison. Usopp pointed at Rogge and Rita. There's a fight going on up there too. And what happened to that famous execution platform? Looks like it's collapsed. We can't stay here. A storm is coming, Nami said urgently. Zoro scanned the area and said, feels like an ambush. With his swordsman's intuition, Zoro sensed something was wrong. We can't stay. Let's help Luffy take care of these pirates. Nami, you go first. Usopp, escort Miss Nami back to the Mary, Sanji ordered. Usopp protested, what? You're fighting, why should I leave? I want to. Look at the weather, a storm is about to break. The Mary could be washed away, Nami interrupted. As a brave warrior of the sea, I want to protect you. We need to make sure the ship and our supplies are safe, Usopp said, energetically grabbing the supplies. He began to lead Nami back to the ship. Zoro and Sanji started towards Luffy and Buggy. Buggy's crew charged at them with machetes. These guys are annoying, Zoro said, knocking down several pirates with his swords. Sanji kicked away the enemies. Let's tell Luffy to stop fighting. What does he want with this clown? Meanwhile, on top of the judicial building, Rogge and Rita continued their battle. Rogge was clearly losing, the dark clouds grew heavier, and the wind howled. The weather's awful. Wanna keep fighting? Just say the word and you can be my servant, Rita offered. Absolutely not, Rogge refused. I'll convince you, Rita said, swinging her mace. Suddenly, lightning cracked in the sky, striking Rita's mace and coursing through her body. The flash was so bright that Rogge shielded his eyes. When he looked again, Rita was tumbling off the roof. Even she couldn't dodge that strike. Sorry, madam. Guess it's fate, Rogge said, shrinking his ironwood sword back to a branch. Chapter 6. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The massive lightning strike just now stunned everyone. Even Bucky and Luffy stared, shocked, in the direction it hit. Rita! Bucky yelled, seeing her fall. Zoro and Sanji had cleared their level, taking down Bucky's goons. Luffy saw his chance. Alright. Gum gum. Machine gun. A flurry of rubbery fists pummeled Bucky. He couldn't dodge, even split up. Bucky crashed to the ground, sporting a bruised nose and swollen face. He reassembled himself, only to be knocked flat by a headbutt from Luffy. Today, I'm sending you flying again. Bucky tried to get back on his feet. Gum gum. Rocket. Luffy stretched his arms way back, then slammed them forward, connecting with Bucky. Whoa! Bucky screamed, sent soaring again. Zoro and Sanji, having dealt with the last of Bucky's crew, joined Luffy. Sanji surveyed the chaos. You always make a mess, huh? Wait, isn't that the knockout I saw earlier? He rushed over to Rita, examining her. You and Bucky really have a thing, don't you? Zoro said to Luffy. Yeah, and someone saved me back there. Bucky had me trapped up on that building. Luffy pointed to Rogge atop the Justice building. Roger, carrying a cane whip, jumped down and landed. He saw Luffy approaching. Hey, thanks for the save back there. Luffy said simply. No problem. A little help along the way. Rogge replied. Vine whip, huh? Is that what you fight with? Zoro asked, eyeing Rogge's weapon. Whoa, you're good with vines. Luffy exclaimed, impressed. It's a plant I modified with my devil fruit power. It's got some fight in it, Rogge explained. Luffy paused, then asked, what's your name? I'm Rogge, from Rogge Town. And you're Monkey D, Luffy, right? Rogge said. Rogge, easy to remember. Heh, nice to meet you. Luffy grinned. Nearby, Colonel Smoker watched everything unfold from Judiciary Square. Looks like they've won. Attack now and capture all the pirates. Smoker commanded. Yes, sir. A marine quickly relayed the order. Tashigi, holding timely rein, muttered, so that's Roronoa Zoro. I have to get that sword back. Smoker clenched his fist. Let's go, Tashigi. Together, Smoker and Tashigi left the building, heading to Judiciary Square. The rain in the square grew heavier. Luffy, we should get out of here, Zoro said. But I wanted to talk to Rogge more, Luffy grumbled. Suddenly, they were surrounded. Waves of marines in white uniforms, armed with guns, encircled the square. Doesn't look good. Navy ambush, Zoro said, hand on Wado Ikemonji. He glanced at Sanji, then exclaimed, Sanji. What are you doing? Looking heartbroken, Sanji knelt beside Rita, tearfully saying, my beautiful angel. You were struck by lightning, weren't you? Thank goodness it wasn't fatal. The Marines tightened their encirclement. The Rogge Town Marines, elite soldiers from headquarters, followed Smoker's strict discipline and formed an impenetrable barrier. This is bad, we're gonna have to fight our way out, Zoro said. Two figures emerged from the ranks of the Navy, the imposing Colonel Smoker and the slender Sergeant Tashigi. Smoker's gaze swept over everyone, while Tashigi focused on Zoro. Monkey D, Luffy, and members of his pirate crew. If you dare to set foot on Rogge Town soil, you must have aspirations to reach the Grand Line. However, in the name of Captain Smoker of the Navy headquarters, I will arrest you all. Smoker announced, his voice booming. Luffy stared at Smoker. Smoker. You wanna catch us? We'll just get away. You idiot, you haven't seen the power of Colonel Smoker. A Marine snapped. Smoker silenced him with a look. None of you will escape, Smoker declared, knowing a fight was inevitable. Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, and Rogge prepared to break through. Rogge tried to figure out how to escape. Smoker was tough. Luffy turned to Rogge. Rogge, come with us. Rogge looked surprised, even though he was thinking about joining Luffy's crew. But first, they had to escape from Smoker and the Navy. Tashigi spoke to Smoker. Sir, please let me handle Roronoa Zoro. Smoker frowned. This isn't a game. He is. I know, and I'll give it my all. Tashigi insisted. Alright, understood. Smoker looked back at the others. Smoker started using his devil fruit powers, preparing to attack. Prepare to face the power of Smoker the Hunter. Suddenly, the fiery sunflower on Rogge's shoulder blasted a beam of sunlight at Smoker. Smoker was caught off guard. He never expected such a powerful attack from a sunflower. Smoker had the smoke fruit, but the flames were capable of countering smoke, and Smoker was caught off guard. Everyone, now's our chance to break through. Rogge shouted. He pulled out an ear of corn. Luffy saw it and said happily, corn. I want to eat it, but it's raw. Rogge's corn was another plant he had modified to produce fruit. Glory corn. Rogge held the ear of corn overhead, and the kernels burst, scattering everywhere. Each kernel exploded like popcorn, flashing like a flashbang. The Marines were temporarily blinded and disoriented by the light. Smoker, recovering from the sunflower's attack, looked around to see Luffy and the others gone. Colonel! Tashigi exclaimed. I'm fine. Everyone, pursue Luffy and his crew with everything you've got. Smoker was annoyed at being tricked. Get me my motorcycle, Smoker ordered a nearby Marine. Chapter 7 The Beginning of the Great Route. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Just as Rogge Town hit peak chaos, a figure, soaked in the downpour, moved like a ghost through the streets. Pirates, huh? Not bad. Meanwhile, Nami and Usopp, lugging their newly purchased goods, finally reached the Golden Mary. A fierce wind and torrential rain were now battering the town. Machi, Bucky's animal trainer, stood beside the ship with his lion. Damn it. Another failure. The matches won't light. Of course it would pour now, Machi complained, his matches completely useless. The lion beside him roared in frustration. It was hungry. Nami and Usopp stopped short, spotting Machi and the lion in shock. Machi, from the Bucky pirates, Nami whispered, seeing him next to the Mary. He's actually here. Leave this to me, Usopp said, pulling out his slingshot. Metal Star, take this. The metal ball struck Machi square in the back of the head. He crumpled to the ground, unconscious. Nice shot, Usopp. Nami exclaimed, but their faces immediately froze. The lion turned, eyes burning with predatory hunger, saliva dripping from its jaws. I haven't dealt with lions before. Panicked, Usopp grabbed a fresh egg. Egg Star. The egg sailed through the air. In his haste, it splattered on the ground beside the lion. The hungry beast sniffed at the egg, then eagerly lapped up the mess, happily lapping. Okay, let's get on board, Nami urged. They scrambled onto the Golden Mary. Luffy, Rogge, Zoro, and Sanji were making a desperate break from the Navy's pursuit, dodging and weaving through the streets. Hurry up. The Navy's really on our tail. I'm over this fight, Luffy panted. I'll handle this, Rogge said. He whirled around and pointed his sleeve toward the buildings lining the street. Vines shot out, snaking between the houses, forming a large, loosely woven net, designed to slow their pursuers. That should buy us some time, Rogge said, the vines briefly holding their shape thanks to his devil fruit power. Without his ability, they'd quickly revert, but it would be enough to impede the Navy. The heavy rain also meant their firearms were damp and useless. Rogge, your plants are cool, Luffy said, his curiosity piqued. It's a plant modified by devil fruit powers. It has some unique abilities, Rogge explained. So, you're a devil fruit user too, Luffy realized. Yeah, I ate the plant fruit. I can control plant growth and transform them, Rogge replied. Plant fruit. Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji echoed, intrigued. Luffy looked at Rogge. That's a weird fruit. So, you're like a vegetable man. I'm a rubber man because of my fruit. Then his eyes lit up. Your powers are awesome. I want you even more now. Sanji, running alongside, added, you have a rare ability. You could be the ship's gardener. Plus, I need ingredients so you could grow them for me. Rogge saw their interest in having him join the crew. He hadn't expected it to be this easy. Oh, Zoro suddenly said, spotting a figure blocking their path. It was Tashigi, the short-haired swordswoman, standing defiantly before them. Whoa, who's the beauty? Sanji said, his eyes instantly sparkling. Zoro's expression soured. Roronoa Zoro. Tashigi shouted. I didn't expect you to be a pirate. I have to take back the Wado Ikemonji. A villain like you shouldn't have such a prized sword. Zoro, what did you do to that girl? Sanji yelled. Zoro charged forward, stopping in front of her. Didn't expect you to be a marine. He drew the Wado Ikemonji, facing off against Tashigi's figure. He's attacking a lady. Sanji said, ready to stop Zoro. This is between me and Roronoa. Stay out of it, Tashigi snapped, engaging Zoro in combat. Let's go. Zoro barked, deflecting a blow. Luffy, Rogge, and Sanji hurried on. Okay, you asked for it. Time to get serious, Zoro grunted. Bring it on, Tashigi said. Luffy, Rogge, and Sanji only heard the clanging of swords fading behind them. After another dash, a mechanical roar filled the air ahead. Huh? Luffy said. What's that? Sanji asked, spotting the source of the noise. A heavy motorcycle, billowing smoke, barreled toward them, driven by Colonel Smoker. Smoker used his smoke powers to propel the massive bike. Straw Hat Luffy, you're not escaping. He slammed the motorcycle sideways, leaping off. They were almost at the port, but this imposing figure stood in their way. Smoker glared at them. I swear, in the name of the Navy headquarters and Smoker the Hunter, I won't let you leave this place. Rogge felt an overwhelming pressure radiating from Smoker. Hey, we're heading to the Grand Line. Get out of the way, Luffy said. Smoker eyed the fearless youth. Then you'll have to beat me first. Gum Gum Pistol. Luffy's arm shot out, striking Smoker's body, but the fist passed right through him, Smoker's form dissolving into smoke. My turn. Smoker's hands turned into swirling clouds, reaching for Luffy. The smoke engulfed Luffy, grabbing him tightly. Ah! Luffy cried out. Sanji kicked Smoker in the head. What? Smoker's head dissipated into smoke. Don't get involved, kid. White blow. Smoker punched Sanji, sending him flying. Rogge aimed the flaming sunflower on his shoulder at Smoker, gathering power for a powerful attack. Fire might be effective against smoke. Sunshine flames. A beam of fire shot toward Smoker. Smoker's body dissolved into smoke, avoiding the blast, then reformed behind Luffy, grabbing him. Before Rogge could prepare another attack, he was seized. The smoke cleared, revealing Smoker behind him. Is this what you rely on to attack? Smoker said, crushing the flaming sunflower. He lifted Rogge into the air. Smoker and Rogge locked eyes. Rogge had to admit, the man exuded irresistible power. Your name's Rogge, right? You're from the orphanage? Smoker asked. Then why are you helping pirates? I just wanted to, Rogge answered. Smoker threw Rogge aside. I don't have time for you. He turned his attention back to Luffy. Gum Gum Rocket. Luffy slammed both his arms into Smoker's chest. Again, Smoker turned into smoke, then reappeared behind Luffy, grabbing him. He slammed Luffy into the ground. Rogge swung his vine whip, trying to pull Luffy away. Not a chance. Smoker gripped Luffy tightly. Despite Rogge's effort, Smoker didn't budge. You and Luffy's adventure ends here. Smoker prepared another attack. Then, to everyone's shock, a cloaked figure grabbed Smoker's wrist, forcing him to release Luffy. Rogge pulled Luffy away. You. Smoker said, recognizing the man. The government wants your head, Smoker growled. The cloaked man didn't respond, turning to Rogge and Luffy. Those who have dreams also have friends. In the end, they will all be on a long journey, rain or shine. But I would like to thank you on behalf of Luffy. Rogge stared at the man, the revolutionary. Dragon looked up at the sky. The world will slowly wait for our answers. A powerful gust of wind swept through the town, nearly blowing it apart. Rogge, Luffy, Sanji, and others were sent tumbling. Even the Golden Mary was affected, the storm-tossed ship rocking more violently than before. What's going on? What's with this wind? Usopp cried out. The wind subsided, leaving behind an ordinary storm. Rogge, Luffy, Sanji, and Zoro picked themselves up and found they were at the port. What happened? Zoro asked, looking around. Sanji spotted the Mary, now further out to sea. Our ship. Luffy grinned, then turned to Rogge. Rogge, will you join our crew? Luffy asked. If you help us, that smoke guy will definitely come after you, too, Zoro added. Come with us, and you can grow me some ingredients, Sanji said. Rogge had been waiting for this. Okay, let's do it. Luffy grinned. All right. Let's head to the Grand Line. He ran to a nearby wooden pole and began stretching his body. I've got a bad feeling about this, Sanji said. Luffy, stretched to an absurd degree, launched himself towards Rogge, Sanji, and Zoro. Whoa! Amidst their screams, they hurtled toward the Mary. They crashed into the sail, then tumbled onto the deck. Nami saw them return. Everyone's back, and we have a new crewmate. Usopp recognized Rogge. That's the guy who was fighting on the building in the square. I'm back. Luffy shouted, raising his hands. This is our new partner, Rogge, Luffy introduced. Rogge stood up. Nice to meet you. I'm Rogge. I look forward to working with you. Welcome, Nami said. With another on board, the Straw Hat Pirates will defeat powerful enemies under my wise command. Since you're here, what can you do? Usopp asked. I control plants. I can be your horticulturist, Rogge said. He spotted 3 orange trees on the ship. Let me show you with these trees. Nami eyed the trees. Okay, but don't damage them. Rogge approached one of the trees. Using his powers, the tree had already been harvested, leaving only green, unripe oranges. Rogge touched the tree, and the unripe fruit quickly ripened, turning from green to orange. Even bare branches sprouted new blossoms and fruit. Nami stared in amazement. That's incredible, she said. Usopp clapped Rogge on the shoulder. Great job. That's really useful on the ship. Okay, Rogge, Usopp, the brave warrior of the sea, welcome you to the crew. Congrats, Rogge. Luffy said. From now on, you're a Straw Hat Pirate, Luffy said. Now that the captain says so, you can relax and enjoy the adventure, Zoro said. Don't forget to grow me those ingredients, Sanji said. Great, now we have 2 gardeners, Nami said. Ha ha ha. Usopp has another friend. Usopp said. Rogge looked at the members of the crew. From now on, I'll share your hardships and sail to the ends of the earth. Rogge said. Meanwhile, on a rooftop near the docks, Dragon watched the merry sail into the storm. Live as you see fit, he murmured. Smoker stood nearby, watching the ship leave. Dragon, why did you help them? Smoker demanded. Dragon didn't look at him, watching the ship disappear into the distance. What can stop a group of people chasing their dreams from setting sail? Then, Dragon vanished. Smoker looked back at the sea. Prepare the ships. We're going to pursue them. Enter the Grand Line. Smoker ordered. Tashigi said, I want to go too. Sir, I want to hunt down the pirate hunter Zoro. But you are stationed here, a naval soldier said. Just tell them that, don't get in my way. Bucky, Alvida, and others who had been defeated by Luffy and Rogge took advantage of the chaos to flee to a ship. What? The Grand Line, Bucky said. Yes, to crush the Rubber Man and the boy who controls plants, we must pursue them. The Golden Mary sailed westward, tossed about by the storm. What's happening? Usopp shouted. A lighthouse shone in the distance. Nami walked to the bow and studied it. That's the navigational lighthouse, the entrance to the Grand Line. Everyone looked at each other, ready to enter a world of legends. Sanji grabbed a wooden barrel. Let's have a ceremony. This is a welcome party for Rogge. Sanji put his feet on the barrel. I'm going to find the All Blue. Luffy put his feet on the barrel. I'm going to be king of the pirates. Zoro put his feet on the barrel. I'm going to be the world's greatest swordsman. Nami put her feet on the barrel. I'm going to draw a map of the whole world. Usopp put his feet on the barrel. I'm going to be a brave warrior of the sea. 5 people stood on the barrel. And I. Rogge put his feet on the barrel. I'm going to have an amazing adventure. Sanji grabbed the barrel, pointed it toward the Grand Line, and kicked it with all his might. Let's go. To the Grand Line. Chapter 8 The Spectacular Upside Down Mountain. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Going Merry sailed the ocean near the Grand Line's entrance. Rogge shared more about his past with Luffy and the crew. I was orphaned at birth. I don't have a family, but from now on, I'll think of you all as my family, Rogge said to them in the cabin. Right on, Rogge. We're all better together, Luffy replied warmly. Rogge could tell Luffy was genuine. When you're with him, he's totally sincere. Zoro, Sanji, Nami, and Usopp had different personalities, but they all shared incredible loyalty to their friends. Since I'm good at gardening, I'll do my best to help you all. Whether it's turning plants into tools or growing food, I'll give it my all, Rogge told them. Nami picked an orange from the tree and said, munching on it, great. We can eat oranges every day now. No more worrying about fresh fruit on board. Sanji sipped some black tea. I could really use your help growing ingredients. If you can control plants, that's perfect. We'll have plenty of vegetarian dishes, all year round. And, dinner was pretty good, even if it was a little simple for a welcome meal. Rogge spooned up some chicken soup. It was delicious. Sanji was a top-notch chef, no doubt. Wow, this is incredible. Even simple chicken soup is this good. I'm lucky to eat Sanji's cooking every day, Rogge said, genuinely impressed. Glad you like it, Sanji replied, smiling. Luffy had already downed several bowls of chicken soup and a glass of orange juice. Hey, Nami, now that we've passed the lighthouse, how do we actually get into the Grand Line? Luffy asked, wiping his mouth. Nami finished her orange. That's what I wanted to talk about. She stood up and laid a navigation map on the table. Look, the entrance to the Grand Line is a mountain. Everyone exclaimed, a mountain? Yep. Right here. The navigation light is on the upside-down mountain in the red line. The map showed a mountain range west of Rogge Town. What? Are we just going to crash into a mountain? Usopp asked, staring at the map. Nami corrected him. See, there's a canal here. Canal boats don't go uphill, Usopp argued. But that's how it's drawn on the map, Nami said. Zoro looked suspicious. Something's off with this map. Did you get it from Buggy? Usopp was at the helm. Why is this so hard? The current's really strong, Usopp said, struggling with the rudder. Nami looked at the map again. The currents from all four seas converge here, creating huge propulsion. Ships enter through these four channels and then into the Grand Line. Everyone understood. Upside Down Mountain is a winter island, and the current will smash us to the bottom of the sea. The Going Merry will be wrecked, so it must enter the entrance. Alright, I'll go check it out, Nami said, heading out of the cabin. Luffy and the others followed. Rogge walked over to Usopp. Let me give you a hand. Perfect timing, the current's getting stronger, Usopp said. Rogge knew the rudder had been damaged before. He had to be careful. Luffy sat on the sheep's head at the bow, looking around. A massive continent blocked their path. The mainland towered into the sky, made more spectacular by the storm clouds. This was the Red Line. Zoro looked through his telescope. He saw a gap in the sea, a river of water flowing up the mountain. That's insane. The ocean's literally climbing. Huge currents carried seawater up the mountain slopes. Nami called to Usopp and Rogge, hold steady at the helm. Rogge focused on the rudder. Usopp, easy now. Usopp was antsy, but he slowly got things under control. The Going Merry steadied and headed for the entrance. Rudder to the right. Rogge and Usopp turned the rudder with all their might. The current was ridiculously powerful. The entrance was only wide enough for one ship, making it really dangerous. Usopp, I need to go out there. Can you handle the helm? Rogge asked. Sanji came in to help Usopp. Rogge went to the bow and aimed his vine whip at the huge rock doorframe at the entrance. Vine whip. The vine whip hit the first doorframe and wrapped tightly around the top. Rogge tied the end of the vine whip to the sheep's head on the Merry. Zoro looked at it. Will vines even work? Totally. This vine's as strong as an iron chain, Rogge assured him. With the vine whip secured, the Merry's navigation was much smoother. The ship finally approached the entrance, rocking and drifting. Once inside, the Merry moved more smoothly, propelled upwards by the sea current in a straight line. Rogge retracted the vine whip. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Finally, all six cheered on deck. The bow of the Merry tilted upwards, moving straight forward like a carp leaping over a dragon gate. Rogge stood near the bow, taking in the scenery. It was unforgettable. His adventures with Luffy were heading to a whole new level. Stormy clouds still filled the sky, but they were getting closer to the light. Up ahead, there are clouds. After a violent journey, the Merry entered the clouds. They were surrounded by clouds and mist, but the Merry continued to move forward. Feels like we're going to heaven, Rogge said. Luffy patted Rogge on the shoulder. The Grand Line's just ahead. The Merry finally broke through the clouds and headed straight for the top of Upside Down Mountain. Looking down, there were endless clouds, and the Mary seemed to be sailing into the sky. The canal leading to the top of the mountain made the water sparkle like diamonds in the sunlight. The Mary reached the top of the mountain. The violent currents tossed the Mary into the air, scattering countless waves like diamonds. Wow! Everyone shouted. The Mary was on top of Upside-Down Mountain, with a view that was unbelievable. An endless sea of clouds stretched out below. 4 huge canals flowed down from the top. One gathered the water from the 4 ocean currents and flowed downwards again. The Mary quickly fell into the downward canal. With a splash, the Mary slid down the canal quickly. This was much faster than the climb up. Looking ahead at the rapid descent, everyone on board was thinking about their goals. Zoro looked ahead, thinking that Mihawk was here. Sanji looked ahead, thinking that the All Blue was here. Usopp looked forward, thinking this was proof of the Great Sea Warrior. Nami looked forward, thinking that there were endless maps waiting for her to draw. Luffy looked ahead, thinking this was the place to become the Pirate King. Rogge looked ahead, thinking that this was a great adventure and a path to becoming stronger. The Mary moved forward, carrying everyone's dreams. Chapter 9 Whales at Twin Heads. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Mary plowed through the clouds, the swirling mist obscuring everything. Rogge knew a whale the size of an island was looming ahead. Besides that, he still needed more plant-based weaponry. More plants needed transforming. The ability to cultivate his own plant fruits could also be further developed. Joining the Straw Hats had a major perk. Experiencing powerful battles firsthand, and knowing the basic storyline meant avoiding some dangers. As Rogge pondered, a dull, distant sound echoed. Huh? What's that? Zoro asked. Sounds like some kind of animal. Maybe a whale. Nami suggested. Usopp whipped out his spyglass and peered ahead. Sanji, up in the crow's nest, chimed in. Nami's right. There's a mountain up ahead. That even through the fog, a massive, dark shape loomed. As the Mary picked up speed, the clouds began to dissipate. Everyone gasped. A giant black whale, the size of an island, roared at the sky. The crew was speechless. The behemoth blocked their path. A drawn-out bellow still emanated from the whale's mouth, as if calling for a companion. A whale as big as a mountain. Usopp exclaimed. Hold on, I can't see its eyes, Sanji said. Maybe it hasn't spotted us yet, Nami hoped. Zoro pointed to the left. There's a gap over there, we can make a run for it. No way, we can't turn that fast, Usopp protested. At that critical moment, Rogge said, can we use the cannon? What? But the whale's right in front of us. Nami exclaimed. A giant whale in their path was bad news. Luffy's eyes lit up. I'll give it a shot. He darted into the cabin, headed for the cannon. Just as they were about to collide, the Mary's cannon fired. The recoil brought the ship to a screeching halt. They stopped just in time, but the crew, except for Rogge, Nami, Zoro, Sanji, and Usopp, stood with their mouths agape. With a final burst of momentum, the Mary crashed. The sheep figurehead snapped off, and Luffy, who was just coming out of the cabin, froze. My prime seating. Luffy stormed to the deck, glaring at the broken figurehead. The others were still recovering from the near miss. Row! Row for your lives! Zoro yelled. Sanji, Usopp, Rogge, Zoro, and Nami grabbed the oars and started rowing frantically. Meanwhile, the giant whale continued its earth-shattering roar, deafening them. Luffy stared at the whale with pure animosity. The Mary drifted to the whale's massive eye. It was at least 10 times the size of the ship. Luffy glared into the whale's eye, his face a mask of fury. You wrecked my prime seating. He fired a gum-gum pistol right into the whale's eye. Nami and the others stared at Luffy in disbelief. Idiot! Everyone except Rogge yelled at Luffy in unison. The whale's eye remained undamaged, but it turned its gaze down upon the Mary. The giant whale lowered its enormous mouth from its skyward roar. It sucked in an unbelievable amount of water. Get out of here! But as the whale drank, it created a massive whirlpool. The Mary was caught in the vortex. Rogge and the others watched helplessly as the island-sized whale swallowed the ship and the sea around them. Suddenly, everything was turned upside down. Luffy stretched out his rubbery limbs to escape. Rogge, Nami, Zoro, Sanji, and Usopp were swallowed along with the Mary. They were swept through the mouth, down the throat, and into the stomach. After Luffy used his powers to reach the whale's back, he found a door. the whale began to sink, and Luffy went through the door. Rogge and the others, aboard the Mary, ended up inside the whale. It wasn't pitch black, but surprisingly bright. There was a blue sky and white clouds, but the surrounding water was green. Even more surprising, there were two small islands ahead. One was covered in tall coconut trees, and the other had a simple house. What's going on? Were we swallowed by a whale? Sanji wondered. Is this some kind of dream? Zoro asked. Rogge pointed to the whale's stomach walls. Not a dream. Look at the sky. The clouds and seabirds are painted on. So we're really inside a whale? Usopp said. They looked around. The seabirds and clouds were still, and indeed, they were painted. As they pondered, they heard water churning and a huge squid burst from the depths. A squid king. Nami and Usopp screamed. Rogge, Zoro, and Sanji braced for battle. Suddenly, 3 harpoons slammed into the giant squid's body. The squid died, collapsing backward into the water. They could see that the harpoons had been fired from the doorway of the house, and they were being hauled in by someone. There's someone out there, Usopp said. Are they hunting or saving us? Zoro asked. I'm betting on hunting, Rogge said. Rogge knew it was Kurokas, the ship's doctor from Roger's crew. A man emerged, old, with a strange petal-like hairdo. Chapter 10 Kurokas. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Flowers? Sanji asked, clearly thrown. The old guy's face was definitely weird. Instead of hair, he had freaking flowers sprouting from his head. He gave everyone on the Mary the stink eye, a look so intense it made them seriously uncomfortable. Just when they thought he was about to say something, the old man casually plopped down in a chair under a coconut tree. You gonna say something or what? Sanji snapped, losing patience. The old man just sat there silently, staring at the Mary. Hey, if you want a piece of us, we got cannons. Usopp blurted. Forget it. People die, the old man finally said, like it was a huge effort. I'm talking about you. Sanji roared, ready to explode. Zoro stepped in, holding Sanji back. Let me handle this. Who are you, and what's this place? Seems like you introduce yourself first when you're asking questions. You know, manners, the old man pointed out. Yeah, guess that's true, Zoro grumbled. My name's Kurokas. I'm the caretaker of the Twin Capes Lighthouse. 71 years old, AB blood type. He rattled it off before Zoro could even open his mouth. Zoro was fuming. Can I just chop him already? Rogge stepped forward. Mr. Kurokas, if you don't mind, could you tell us where the exit is? We're trapped inside the whale's stomach. Kurokas stared at Rogge for a long moment. The exit, you say? Where's the exit? He pointed towards a massive metal door in the distance. Sure enough, there was a metal gate smack dab in the middle of the whale's gut. Nami was completely baffled. A stomach mural this big, and a metal gate in a whale's stomach? What is going on? This is my vacation spot. Took me forever to paint those pictures all over his stomach, Kurokas announced suddenly. Usopp yelled, you are way too relaxed about this. Sanji sighed. Forget it, let's just get out of here. Suddenly, the whale's stomach lurched violently. What was that? Usopp cried, startled. Look! That island isn't an island, it's a ship. Made of iron, Zoro observed. We're in a whale's stomach. The water's a mix of stomach acid and seawater. Iron won't dissolve, but a wooden ship can't stay here too long, Rogge said, eyeing the greenish sea of acid. Then let's get moving. Wait, where's Luffy? Usopp asked, realizing someone was missing. At that moment, Kurokas, on the small island, announced, he's doing it again. Rab's head-butting the red line, then Kurokas dove into the ocean of stomach acid and swam downward. What? Isn't he worried about the acid? Sanji wondered. Kurokas swam to the metal gate and started climbing a ladder. Meanwhile, 2 figures armed with modified cannons snuck inside the whale. Alright, Mr. Wednesday, this is the door. The old man's here. Take him out, and this whale is ours, said a guy wearing a crown that looked way too big for him. Next to him was a beautiful girl with blue hair. Yes, Mr. 9. Once we capture this whale, our town will be set for years, she said. Mr. 9 looked ridiculous in that crown. Mr. Wednesday, on the other hand, had an air of sophistication about him. The two were about to step into the whale's stomach, when a figure came flying towards them. It was Luffy, who dived into the whale. The three of them crashed through the metal door, yelling their heads off, and tumbled into the whale's stomach. Rogge and the others on the Mary saw the whole thing. It's Luffy. And two more weirdos. Usopp shouted. Help me out, guys. Luffy yelled. Rogge lashed out a vine whip and snagged Luffy. Luffy zipped back to the ship thanks to the vine. The other two weirdos resurfaced, sputtering, and awkwardly clambered onto the Mary. Rogge sized them up. One was the blue-haired Mr. Wednesday, Princess Nefertari Vivi of Alabasta. Ahem. Vivi, aka Mr. Wednesday, looked up at everyone. Sanji's face instantly turned into a heart-eyed emoji. So, since I just saved your butts, who are you two? Rogge asked. Sanji was already fawning over Vivi. Mr. 9, these people are pirates, Vivi said to the crown-wearing dude. Pirates, huh? Well, it's Mr. Wednesday. Let's try talking to them. Should be fine, Mr. 9 replied. Suddenly, Kurokas yelled, you lowlifes. How many times do I have to tell you? As long as I'm still breathing, you ain't touching Rab. Vivi and Mr. 9 raised their cannons. If that's the case, then, before they could fire, Rogge wrapped them both up with vine whips. What are you doing? Mr. 9 demanded. Attacking in here will just anger the whale, Rogge said. Zoro and Usopp exchanged a look. He's right. It's too dangerous. If this whale gets hurt and goes nuts, we're all toast. Seeing that the two were restrained, Kurokas hurried to the door and headed to the room where Rab was being given a sedative. Sanji, meanwhile, was furious. How can you treat a lady like that? He raged at Rogge. Then, by all means, relieve them of their weapons, Rogge said. Zoro and Usopp tossed the cannons overboard, and Rogge released Vivi and Mr. 9. Kurokas gave Rab the sedative, and the whale calmed down. Kurokas returned to the island. Luffy, Rogge, and the others listened to the old man's story. You two are so quick to give up, and those people in that town. Kurokas scolded. Just by capturing Rab, their town would have food for a few years, Kurokas lamented. Rab's the name of this whale? Rogge asked. Kurokas nodded. Rab's only found in the West Blue, and he's the biggest island whale in the world. The reason Rab keeps banging his head against the red line is because he's waiting for a group of pirates. Kurokas's voice was filled with longing. 50 years ago, I was the lighthouse keeper at Twin Capes. One day, a group of bold pirates came crashing down from Reverse Mountain. They brought a young island whale with them. That was Rab. Their ship was in bad shape, so they stayed here for a few months. I became friends with them. But they wanted to go to the Grand Line, and because it was too dangerous, they left Rab with me to take care of. 50 years? Usopp gasped. Yep, 50 years. And Rab's still waiting.